Coming up, a Wichita apartment fire leaves 4 injured, including 1 in critical condition. And some medical experts criticize Oklahoma's execution protocol. Also, the city of Reno votes today on whether it will sell its natural gas system.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's 5 a.m. I'm Tanya Bach. We'll get to those stories in just a moment. But first, let's go straight to Michael Hayslip in the Skywatch Weather Center.
Do you know donut shops open at 4 a.m.?
I like that idea.
No, evidently they do. I was not aware of this until this morning.
Did you pick up some donuts?
I did not.
Oh.
I practice self-control. I encourage everyone to not practice self-control and visit your donut shops, our great 4-state donut shops. I had no idea they opened that early.
That was a big tease to the rest of the staff here that did not want to practice self-control this morning.
Well, that's yeah. Go visit your local donut shop, please. No, I had no idea that they opened that early. That was news to me. Here I am at my ripe old age, and I had no idea. That's what I have on that.
So maybe tomorrow.
No, I'm not. No.
Man. Okay.
Fine. No, because now everybody in the control room, I see you. I see all of you. I know what you're thinking. Thank you, Dylan. Dylan's waving at me. Dylan's like, sweet, Hayslip's bringing donuts tomorrow.
You kind of put yourself in that position.
I've been known to paint myself into a corner in more ways than one. We don't even have enough. You know what? They give us 3 hours on air in the morning. We don't have enough time to get through that. To the Skywatch Storm Tracker we go. I've got producers staring at me. I got one about 2 feet from me right now, about to give me the evil eye with all the time that I'm taking. Thank you, Ron. Skywatch Storm Tracker with heavy cloud cover. No precipitation, however, as we say on the dry side so far, but wind chills dropping as low as 32 degrees. Now, as far as our actual temperatures go, this will be an indicator of our frost and freeze advisories later on this week. You'll notice, despite the fact that we dropped down to 32 on the wind chill, temperatures really ranging from about 39 to 41. So that's not too bad whatsoever. Now, we know we've got some rainfall that is headed our way today. And so as we work through our Tuesday, here it comes later this morning, working from the west, really about later this afternoon, evening hours. It's going to stay mostly to the west and to the south. So the farther north and east you live, same track that we talked about as of yesterday. You'll be on the dry side, but I tell you what, it's going to be cold just about no matter where you are. Look at those overnight lows dropping down to 34 and 32 in between Wednesday and Thursday. It is nice to see that 64 and 66 on Sunday and Monday.
I see we got the little vote symbol up there for today. Nice reminder. People head to the polls.
Wait, who put that on there?
I'm assuming you did.
Good night, Irene.
Today is the day to vote for your elected officials, for sure. Get out there and vote. All right, a Webb City man is dead from a motorcycle crash. It happened near the intersection of Euclid and St. Louis Avenues in Joplin just after midnight Sunday. Police say 24-year-old Joseph Chapman was thrown from his motorcycle when he hit a pedestrian island. A car then hit Chapman. He died at the scene. Joplin police released the name of an assault suspect who was shot and killed by police. Police identified the suspect as 41-year-old Carl Junction resident Joseph Endicott. The JPD says he was shot by officers responding to a call from a victim who says they were being attacked by a man with a weapon. Police have not said what led to the shooting. Endicott died. No officers were hurt. The officers involved have been placed on administrative leave. Fire officials say 4 people have been injured, 1 critically, in a Monday night Wichita apartment fire. Firefighters were called around 3 a.m. yesterday to the Kingston Cove apartments and found flames coming from a complex. Investigators have not yet released the cause of the fire, but say the most severely damaged area of the complex is in a building stairwell. A surgery professor at Ohio State University says the amount of sedative administered to an Oklahoma inmate during his execution is insane. Medical experts say it's unclear why an Oklahoma inmate began convulsing and vomiting after the first of 3 drugs used to execute him was administered. But they all agree the dosage was massive compared with what's standard in surgeries. Jonathan Kroner is a surgery professor at Ohio State University's medical school and a lethal injection expert. He calls the 500 milligrams of the sedative midazolam administered to John Grant insane. He says there's no data to measure the impact of a dose that size. The Oklahoma Department of Corrections says the execution was carried out in accordance with the agency's protocols. Arkansas is among other states that use that dose of midazolam in executions. Oklahoma's Pardon and Parole Board has recommended Governor Kevin Stitt spare the life of death row inmate Julius Jones. The board yesterday voted 3-1 to recommend clemency for Jones and that his sentence be commuted to life in prison with the possibility of parole. The 41-year-old Jones has always maintained his innocence in the 1999 shooting death of Edmond businessman Paul Howell. Jones testified via video link from the state penitentiary in McAllister that he was with his family the night of the killing. Several members of the panel agreed that they had doubts about the evidence that led to Jones's conviction. The city of Oronogo, Missouri is asking residents to approve the sale of its natural gas system today. Voters will decide whether to approve the sale of the city's natural gas system to Spire for $620,000. One of the reasons the city wants to sell the utility is maintenance costs. Oronogo's mayor says when it comes to billing, residents should not see any significant changes.
The bills will be very similar in pricing, where our bills change month to month based on spot prices of natural gas. Spires is regulated by the state, and so they can't change prices as often as we have to based on pricing.
Polls open this morning and we'll have complete election results on KOAM News. Of course, a number of our area counties and municipalities have issues on today's ballot. You can find a breakdown of those issues on our website. That's at KOAMnewsnow.com. Polls open at 7 a.m. today, so please get out and vote. A Neosho, Missouri shoe store is collecting an item regularly needed by members of the military: socks. Shoe Sensations is hosting its 6th annual Socks for Troops fundraiser. Last year, the program collected more than 40,000 pairs of socks across the company's 200 locations. The socks are donated to active duty military members and local veterans.
So our company offers a 20% discount on socks that are purchased in the store that are donated. And then also we give a coupon for you to use at a later date to take so much off of a future purchase.
The store is offering 20% off of any socks purchased for a donation. You can also donate new socks at the Shoe Sensation location in Neosho. Yesterday marks the beginning of Native American Heritage Month. In 1990, President George H.W. Bush designated November as a month to recognize the sacrifices, contributions, and achievements of Native American people. President Biden released a statement this year saying Native American roots are embedded in our land. He said, as a country, we should uphold our treaty responsibilities and recommit to strengthening Native sovereignty. According to the Department of Indian Affairs, there are about 326 reservations in the U.S., making up more than 56 million acres of land. It's 5:07.
Temperatures right now ranging from the high 30s to low 40s. So it is a chilly one out there. We've been able to escape the frost advisories that they have out to our east, ranging from Springfield to the other side of the Ozarks. One thing we are not going to be able to avoid is the rain later on this afternoon. Now, if you live up to the north and to the east, you're going to be okay. But as the system rolls in from central Kansas and works down to the southeast, we will get our fair share amount of it for the western portion of southeast Kansas and for northeast Oklahoma. No warm up in sight until we get to the weekend. At least we'll get a little sunshine here by the end of the week.
That's a look at this morning's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News, the Parsons Vikings see an impressive turnaround under head coach Jeff Scheibel. We'll find out why. Plus, authorities charge a Kansas state representative with domestic battery. And today, the CDC gets ready to decide authorization for COVID vaccination for young children. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. More real news in the morning. We'll be right back.
Parsons Vikings in year number 2 under head coach Jeff Scheibe. Now they have double as many wins this year than last year, and they've won a playoff game. Our own Danny Terzer caught up with the team to learn more about this impressive turnaround.
A lot of people outside of our players and our coaches, I guarantee you, did not expect us to be in the position that we're in right now.
Last year, in Jeff Scheibe's first year as head coach, Parsons finished 3-6.
I think that's added a little bit of fuel to the fire. We use that as motivation to, ignite us every day at practice, ignite us every day or every Friday night.
This year, they have more than double the amount of wins. Parsons is 7-2 and has won the last 5 in a row.
A turning point in our season was early in the summer. We went to a Pittsburgh State team camp and really built a lot of team chemistry, team camaraderie, and we had a lot of reps. And I thought that's where we really came together as a team, and it kind of ignited us and propelled us through the rest of the summer into the beginning of this year.
We were able to click, and like a lot of people were buying into what was going on and wanting to win.
The team also got to work in the weight room over the summer, and it's paid off. The Vikings won their first playoff game since 2018 last week.
Our defense has just absolutely carried us through the majority of this season, and being more physical, tackling better has just, really helped us, took us to that next level.
Everyone is stepping up.
We're going to start 5 sophomores on offense Friday night at Girard, and that group has really stepped up and played a huge part in our success. Those sophomores are making big plays on Friday nights, and if they can continue to do that, they're gonna be a special group here.
It's been quite the turnaround, but the Vikings aren't done yet.
I'm trying to do what the class of 2018 couldn't, which is get to the championships.
Well, best of luck to Jeff and the Vikings. I've known that dude a long time, dating back to his high school playing days. Vikings, with the game coming up in the regional round of the state tournament, they will be on the road. And they'll take on another great dude in his team, Neil Philpott's Girard Trojans. That game's coming up on Friday. Pittsburgh Purple Dragons also still alive in the playoffs. This comes off a 63-0 win over KC Turner last week. That win set a school record for most points ever in a playoff game. Running back Grant Ralphs, 5 carries, 129 yards. Key piece of Pittsburgh's offense all season long through 9 games. Rolfs has picked up 1,000 rushing yards, averaging more than 100 per game. Oh, by the way, he scored 13 touchdowns.
Grant has stepped up and had a phenomenal year for us at tailback. His intelligence is probably what sets him apart. He just understands it. You got to tell him at one time, and he'll remember it the rest of his career. You can't say enough about the type of person he is, the way he prepares, and the way he plays the game. He just plays it the right way with great passion, great energy, but it's never about him. It's always about the team.
Tell you what, I reflect. I see Tom right there. I'm like, we're just surrounded by great coaches here in the 4 states. It's unreal. Kansas City Chiefs back in action for a Monday night football game against the Giants. Chiefs entered the game 3-4, 4th place in the AFC West. And, well, it wasn't the prettiest of all, but they win it 20-17. Harrison Butker kicks a field goal with 1:30 left. Then this much maligned Chiefs defense, they actually come up with back-to-back sacks to come up with a 4th quarter stop, get the ball back on downs, and in the game. Patrick Mahomes did turn the ball over twice. Just of note, as far as reigning MVPs go, he leads the league in turnovers right now through week 8. He's the first reigning MVP to lead the NFL in turnovers since 2005, when a quarterback by the name of Brett Favre held that title. You'll also note that his career turned out pretty well. Basketball season gearing up as the Missouri Southern men take to the court for the first time Monday evening. Southern at Wichita State, little exhibition game. We'll check it out in the post. Christian Bundy, nice little open under, ties it at 2. On a loose ball. That's called hustle. Lions gonna come up with it. Dishes from his knees. Lawson Jenkins. Hoo-hoo, take that. Now, that lead cut it back to 1. Shockers get it to 7. Then Alec Jones, yeah. See how soft that rim is. 18-17 off the steal, R.J. Smith, mid-range jumper. However, the Lions would trail by 18 at the half. Second half, a Smith 3 pushes that back to 13. That's as close as it would come. Remember, it's exhibition basketball. Lions do fall 90-58, the final score. Still to come on the KOAM Morning News, more than 100 world leaders agreeing to end deforestation by the year 2030. And a check on our 7-day forecast when the KOAM Morning News returns. 20 minutes past the hour because I've been a little long-winded this morning. My apologies for that. Current conditions over 7th and Range Line is where we sit at 41 degrees. It is a cool morning, ranging anywhere from about 37 to 41. 41 just really being the dominant number right now. We do have a little wind chill in effect. Remember, that's reflectivity picked up by the sweeping radar. Overcast morning, but no precipitation as of yet. And we're able to escape the frost advisories that they have from the Ozarks spreading all the way east of the Mississippi. Our weather trend for today, and not a whole lot of heat, that's for sure, not a whole lot of sunshine. And eventually, we are going to pick up some rain as it will move in from the west. We're talking about mainly the western and southern edges of the 4 states that are going to pick up the precipitation. It has a little northerly spread here for tonight. Nice thing is we will be able to escape the 32-degree mark. That is extremely important for the next 2 days because anything that we get after that would have a chance to flip over, but you'll notice at least we get some sunshine there on Thursday and Friday. Time now to turn our attention to the KOAM News Now Facebook page and our morning Insta poll. There's a lot of unanswered questions surrounding the arrest of a Kansas lawmaker over the weekend. Now, before we get to our question, here are the details from the hearing.
State Kansas versus Aaron Coleman.
Despite Aaron Coleman not being present, the hearing still went on. 21-year-old Coleman was arrested at 8:15 p.m. Saturday by Overland Park Police on a domestic battery charge. Coleman's attorney says his client is pleading not guilty. His attorney waived the reading of the complaint against Mr. Coleman, so we still don't know exactly what happened. But the attorney did mention the incident involved 2 family members at Coleman's grandfather's home and that the complaining victims were the grandfather and Coleman's brother. Both of them and Coleman's mother attended the Zoom hearing, and all of them said they wouldn't feel unsafe having contact with Mr. Coleman. It was also mentioned that the mother is looking to seek private help for him. This is not the first time Coleman has been in the middle of controversy, facing disciplinary actions for threatening posts online and admitting to posting revenge porn while still in middle school.
Should resign and maybe get his act together. Try again maybe in a couple years after he does maybe rehab or something to help him out.
House Democratic leader Tom Sawyer is hoping Coleman does step down. He says, "This is extremely disturbing news. We are watching closely to make sure we gather all the facts." Sawyer said his constituents in the state of Kansas would be better served if he were to resign and get the help he badly needs. But some believe Coleman shouldn't be judged so quickly.
I'm not really informed enough on the issue to speak a whole lot into it. But like I said, in general, let's just not assume everybody's guilty. Let's see how that goes first.
Our question for you this morning, do you think politicians receive adequate punishments for their crimes? 2 ways to connect: via our Facebook page, KOAM News Now, or go directly to the poll, koamnewsnow.com/vote. We'll be back with Healthwatch right after this.
Topping Healthwatch this morning, the number of people who have died from COVID-19 worldwide has surpassed 5 million. The global tally of deaths from Johns Hopkins University is now at 5,425,000. The highest toll in the world is in the U.S., more than 766,000, followed by Brazil and India. FDA gives emergency use authorization to the first COVID-19 vaccine for younger children. And now it's up to the CDC to decide whether to recommend the vaccine for this age group. It'll be discussed in a meeting today. Some parents have had questions about why the dosing size for the vaccine is based on a child's age and not their weight. Mandy Gaither explains.
If recommended by the CDC, Pfizer's COVID-19 vaccine would be the first cleared for use in children ages 5 to 11 in the U.S. The vaccine would be administered in 2 doses given 21 days apart, but each dose would just be a third of the size of the one given to people 12 and older.
Vaccines are not administered based on weight like other therapeutics are.
So why not? Public health physician Dr. Chris Purnell says the dosage size varies depending on the child's immune system.
Vaccines really are based on the developmental stage or age of the immune system in a younger person. That's why you see the differences in the cutoffs at the ages.
Trials have shown the 2 smaller doses of Pfizer's vaccine generated just as strong immune response in children as the larger doses given to people over 12. Purnell says parents of young children shouldn't worry about the size of the doses.
So a parent who has an 11-year-old, regardless of size, your 11-year-old should receive the authorized dose for that stated age.
Pfizer says there's also potential to lower the dose of its COVID-19 vaccine for children ages 12 to 15 in the future. But right now, the company says their key goal is to provide protection with a safe and effective vaccine. For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
Pfizer has packaged separate vials of the vaccine for kids 5 to 11, which have orange labels. Purple labels are being used for vaccines for people ages 12 and older. The federal government is one step closer to requiring many employers to vaccinate employees or test them weekly for COVID-19. The rule applies to private companies that employ 100 or more workers. The Office and Management of Budget completed its review of the emergency rule yesterday, and it will be published in the Federal Register within days. The Labor Department's regulation also requires employers to give workers paid time off to get vaccines and to recover from any side effects. Any workers who opt for testing instead of vaccination must wear face coverings at work. The new standards are defined as a minimum, meaning companies are allowed to go further by requiring vaccines and not allowing weekly testing as an alternative. Employers that fail to comply can be fined up to nearly $14,000 per violation. That's a look at some of today's top health stories. You're watching the KOAM Morning News.
Dominant number right now, as it is a chilly Tuesday morning, overcast skies as well, so not a whole lot of sunshine even when it does rise over Joplin at 7:37 in the morning. Now remember, we've got rain coming, and it'll be on us for this afternoon, eventually working from the west and then spreading to the north. We'll be back with more KOAM Morning News right after this.
Coming up, a Wichita apartment fire leaves 4 injured, including 1 in critical condition. And some medical experts criticize Oklahoma's execution protocol. Also, the city of Oronogo votes today on whether it will sell its natural gas system.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's 5:30. I'm Tanya Bach. We'll get to those stories in just a minute, but first let's go to Michael Hayslip in the Skywatch Weather Center.
Hey, it's election day. How about that? And I tell you what, you're going to want a coat, and I'd probably grab an umbrella. That's going to be needed especially for this afternoon and the evening hours. Live look over 7th and Rangeline, where we sit at 71 degrees, a little northeasterly breeze coming in, and it does cause a little bit of a wind chill. You'll notice it only feels like 35 right now in Joplin. These are the actual temperatures, not the wind chills. As we're able to stay well above the freezing mark, 41 kind of being the dominant number. We get as high as 42 in Chanute. We drop as low as 37 in Iola and Monette. We'll go 41 in Miami. Skywatch Storm Tracker, heavy cloud cover, another overcast start with sunrise over Joplin at 7:37. Just going to be one of those days, back-to-back days to start the month of November, where we're not going to see much sunshine. Luckily, we do avoid what is out to our east. Take a look at this right here. If we zoom in on just the other side of the Ozarks, yeah, we're actually talking about having freeze watches out there. Don't impede upon our counties, but not going to be surprised if we don't end the week with one. Here's our weather trend for our Tuesday, as our temperature is just going to be mid to high 40s, and we're going to have rain as it will move in throughout the latter half of the morning, and then through the afternoon and evening hours. Begins to spread, works a little bit to the north right there, and rolls through. Nothing severe, and we shouldn't have any flooding concerns, nothing like what we had last week, but it is going to be chilly all week long. Tanya, look at those overnight lows. Still looking at Wednesday into Thursday and Thursday into Friday. That's where we're at least going to have frost advisories, if not our own freeze warnings in effect.
You've been warned. Bundle up. It's cold out there.
If it's like, I don't even want to tell you to bring the plants in, because if you haven't done it as of yet,
You might just be disappointed.
I think if you haven't done it as of yet, you're just like, it's fine. They can just sit out there. It's cool.
True that. All right, thanks, Michael. A Webb City man is dead from a motorcycle crash. It happened near the intersection of Euclid and St. Louis Avenues in Joplin just after midnight Sunday. Police say 24-year-old Joseph Chapman was thrown from his motorcycle when he hit a pedestrian island. A car then hit Chapman. He died at the scene. Fire officials say 4 people have been injured, 1 critically in an overnight Wichita apartment fire. Firefighters were called around 3 a.m. yesterday to the Kingston Cove apartments and found flames coming from a complex. Investigators have not yet released the cause of the fire, but say the most severely damaged area of the complex is in a building stairwell. A surgery professor at Ohio State University says the amount of sedative administered to an Oklahoma inmate during his execution is insane. Medical experts say it's unclear why an Oklahoma inmate began convulsing and vomiting after the first of 3 drugs used to execute him was administered. But they all agree the dosage was massive compared with what's standard in surgeries. Jonathan Groner is a surgery professor at Ohio State University's medical school and a lethal injection expert. He calls the 500 milligrams of the sedative midazolam administered to John Grant insane. He said there's no data to measure the impact of a dose that size. The Oklahoma Department of Corrections says the execution was carried out in accordance with the agency's protocols. Arkansas is among other states that use the dose of midazolam in executions. City of Orinoco is asking voters to approve the sale of its natural gas system. KOAM's Chris Warner has more on why the city wants to sell and what it could mean for residents if approved.
Mayor Charles Wilkins says there's a number of reasons the city wants to sell the utility to Spire, such as continued maintenance costs.
With the increased regulations, increased training, Spire is a large corporation. They're in most of the communities surrounding us, and with their expertise and ability, it will cut down the workload on our public works officials.
Mayor Wilkins says they were approached by 2 utility companies in 2019, and the council decided to go with Spire's offer to buy the system. As for billing, Mayor Wilkins says residents shouldn't see a significant difference.
The bills will be very similar in pricing, where our bills change month to month based on spot prices of natural gas. Spire's is regulated by the state, and so they can't change prices as often as we have to based on pricing.
Officials with Spire agree with Mayor Wilkins on billing, saying the biggest change residents will notice is the bill itself will look different. As for other changes, Spire's Director of Business Development, Brenda Linderer, says they're not planning anything big right now.
We are anticipating maybe sometime down the road upgrading their metering equipment into a more automated meter reading device, but currently no specific plans to make any changes to the system.
If voters approve the sale on Tuesday, it won't be an overnight change. Spire then has to go to Missouri's Public Service Commission to get approval to add Orinoco to its service area.
That can take a while. We're not quite sure. It could be anywhere probably from 6 to 8 months before the process is totally finalized as far as getting approval from the PSC.
If approved, Spire would pay the city $620,000 for the system. Mayor Wilkins says they're not spending that money yet, but are looking at things it could pay for, like improvements to City Hall and other projects in the city.
We're also wanting to do some things with parks to help improve our parks, to give our residents more places for recreation.
In Orinoco, Chris Warner, KOAM News.
Of course, a number of our area counties and municipalities have issues on today's ballot. You can find a breakdown of those issues on our website, KOAMnewsnow.com. To kick off the month, Google is paying tribute to the late Native American artist Weewa. Weewa was revered as a cultural leader and a Zuni tribe mediator. The artist was also a Thamana, which is the Zuni tribe, which in the Zuni tribe is a third gender, neither strictly male nor female. Weewa was born around 1849 in what is now the state of New Mexico. The artists now travel to Washington, D.C. in an effort to establish a cultural exchange. That's a look at our top news stories. Coming up this half hour in the KOAM Morning News, the building in Nigeria collapses and rescuers are frantically searching for survivors. Plus, the Supreme Court heard arguments over the Texas abortion law. We'll hear more about that. But first, it's 5:37.
Right now in between 37 and 41 degrees. Going to be overcast today. Not a whole lot of sunshine on this election day, and rain moving in from the west. It'll be in late this morning and take us all the way through the afternoon and evening hours. It is a jacket and umbrella day for you and the kids. We'll be right back with World Watch after this.
Topping World Watch. Rescuers are up against the clock. In Nigeria, as they search for survivors, at least 5 people have died following the collapse of a luxury high-rise building in Lagos. At least 3 people have so far been rescued, and that's according to officials. It's unknown how many people are missing, but many are feared trapped in the rubble. The government says an investigation into the cause of the collapse is ongoing. More than 100 world leaders will agree to end deforestation by 2030. World leaders representing more than 85% of the planet's forest at COP26 in Scotland have reached a landmark agreement. Among the nations taking part are Canada, Russia, Brazil, Colombia, Indonesia, and the Democratic Republic of the Congo. All have significant tracts of forest holding some of the world's most important carbon sinks. Deforestation and forest degradation account for about 11% of the world's carbon emissions. New Zealand has spoken and selected its 2021 Bird of the Year. Yeah. But the winner of the annual competition this time isn't a bird at all.
Noah!
Instead, voters selected the country's only land mammal, the Pekapekaturua. Wow. Pekapekaturua, also known as the long-tailed bat. This is the first time the bat, or indeed any non-bird, has been part of the competition, which is organized by New Zealand's Forest and Bird Conservation Charity. The group says the award-winning bat was included in the competition to raise awareness and support for the species. That's according to the statement. That's a look at your biggest headlines from around the world. Let's toss it over to Michael for our Something to Talk About.
Boy, you're just going to push off of that as quick as you can you?
Hey, I'm proud of my pronunciation.
No, I was going to say,
Yeah.
is the irony not lost on you that the fact that we're coming off of a pandemic and trying to find the source of it, and at one point in time it was considered to maybe originate from a bat, and New Zealand picks the bat as its bird of the year, even though a bat's not a bird.
Maybe they've had a lot of mosquitoes and this bat's taking care of business.
Okay. I'll buy it.
I'm trying to think positively.
I'll buy that one too. Our Something to Talk About on the KOAM News Now Facebook page and our morning Insta poll, politicians and punishment. Over the weekend, authorities arrested Kansas State Representative Aaron Coleman on a domestic battery charge. Now, according to his attorney, Coleman plans to plead not guilty. 3 of Coleman's family members appeared at the hearing, all of them saying they would feel unsafe having contact with him. Coleman is no stranger to controversy. He's faced disciplinary actions in the past over threatening online posts and also posting revenge porn. At least one of Coleman's colleagues has called for his resignation. Our question specifically for you today: do politicians receive adequate punishments for their crimes? 92% of you right now are saying no. The punishments they receive are not adequate. You can check out the entire story and also vote. Either connect to us via our Facebook page, KOAM News Now, or go directly to the poll, koamnewsnow.com/vote. Be back with the news you need to know before you head out the door right after this.
Here's a check of today's top headlines. The news you need to know before you walk out the door. Webb City man is dead from a motorcycle crash. It happened near the intersection of Euclid and St. Louis Avenues in Joplin just after midnight Sunday. Police say 24-year-old Joseph Chapman was thrown from his motorcycle when he hit a pedestrian island. A car then hit Chapman. He died at the scene. Joplin police released the name of an assault suspect who was shot and killed by police. Police identified the suspect as 41-year-old Carl Junction resident Joseph Endicott. The JPD says he was shot by officers responding to a call from a victim who says they were being attacked by a man with a weapon. Police have not said what led to the shooting. Endicott died. No officers were hurt. The officers involved have been placed on paid administrative leave. It is November 2nd, so goodbye Halloween decorations, hello wreaths, and mistletoe. All right, that might be a bit extreme, but the holiday season is getting underway for Freeman Hospital. The hospital yesterday announced the theme of the downtown Christmas parade. Parade goers and participants will be cruising to Christmas this year. Freeman officials say they're excited about the floats they'll see based on this year's theme. The Salvation Army's Red Kettle campaign is underway. The bell ringers are a ubiquitous sign of the holidays as they station outside the stores, raising money for the work the Army does throughout the year. And that's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door.
We find ourselves on this election Tuesday in the midst of a chilly one. Temperatures ranging right now from 37 to 42, and we've got an overcast start to our day as well. Sunrise officially over Joplin at 7:37, but we're not going to see a whole lot of sunshine today for the second consecutive day. As we transition into the afternoon hours, it's going to be probably about 15 degrees below normal. So we're only topping out here in the mid to high 40s. I don't even think we're going to scrape a 50. To be honest with you. And we've got rain coming as well. So when you take off, make sure you grab the umbrella because here's what we've got headed our way. It'll develop out in central Kansas. You see it right there around the Wichita area, starting to spread into our western counties in southeast Kansas. And then as it moves through and progresses, it actually expands in growth. It works up into the northern portion of our counties as well, mainly dominating the west and the south. But like I said, I wouldn't go anywhere without an umbrella until we finally clear off there on Wednesday. We're not going to get any type of a warm-up. In fact, look at those overnight lows for Wednesday night into Thursday and Thursday night into Friday. At least we'll get a little sunshine, though, by the end of the week. We'll be back with more KOAM Morning News right after this.
The showdown over abortion rights in the United States once again lands on the steps of the Supreme Court. The nation's highest court listened to arguments about the new abortion law in Texas yesterday, the strictest in the nation. So far, it's not clear whether the court will issue an order to block the 2-month-old law. Natalie Brand has more from the Supreme Court.
During 3 hours of arguments, Supreme Court justices called the Texas abortion law unprecedented and a way to circumvent Roe v. Wade.
The actual provisions in this law have prevented every woman in Texas from exercising a constitutional right as declared by this court.
There's a loophole that's been exploited here or used here.
That loophole centers around how Texas wrote the law to try and keep it out of federal courts. Instead of state officials enforcing the law, private citizens can go to state courts and sue anyone who helps perform an abortion. Fines start at $10,000. The justices also signaled concern that the new law could be used as a model for other states to restrict other constitutional rights.
And it could be free speech rights, it could be free exercise of religion rights, it could be Second Amendment rights. If this position is accepted here.
Demonstrators on both sides of the issue gathered outside the court Monday.
We're excited to see a post-Roe America and be able to provide women with the resources they need to keep their children.
I would be very disappointed if we went back before Roe versus Wade. Very, very disappointed.
While Monday's arguments centered around legal procedure, 1 month from today, justices will hear arguments on a case that is asking the High Court to overturn Roe v. Wade and allow Mississippi's 15-week ban on abortion. Natalie Brandt, CBS News, Washington.
The Texas abortion law prohibits abortions when a fetal heartbeat is detected about 6 weeks after conception, and sometimes before a woman even realizes she is pregnant. We'll be right back.
Here's where we stand on the Skywatch storm tracker. We do a little above the cloud coverage right there, kind of dip down. We went too far right there, and the cloud's getting us good. But here's the important thing. As we roll through, you can tell, even though we've got overcast skies, we are dry. For the time being, that is. Now remember, as we get through today, We are going to have rain falling, so it's a very good thing. We're paying close attention to these temperatures as we work through the week, because by the time we get into Wednesday night and Thursday night, we're going to be talking about getting precariously close to the magical number of 32. As we stand on this Tuesday morning, anywhere from about 37 to 42, so not too bad at all. There is a wind chill in effect, but that, with us being dry, we're fine with that. Sunrise at 7:37 at Joplin Regional Airport, and temperatures only up into the high 40s today. Normally, we should be about 65 degrees, so a good 15 degrees below normal at least. Here we go for future track. Watch the rain begin to formulate there in central Kansas, and as it rolls through the 4 states, we are going to see it spread not only down to the southeast, but also a little northerly push for the evening hours. And then we get ready for near freezing temperatures Wednesday night and Thursday night.
Coming up, a Wichita apartment fire leaves 4 injured, including 1 in critical condition. And some medical experts criticize Oklahoma's execution protocol. Also, the city of Oronogo votes today on whether it will sell its natural gas system.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It is 6 a.m. I'm Tanya Bach. We'll get to those stories in just a moment, but first let's go to Michael Hayslip in the Skywatch Weather Center.
Tanya, our daily almanac for this November the 2nd would indicate our average high should be 64 degrees. It'd be really nice if we could get there, because that average low of 42, we're going to be a whole lot closer to that this afternoon than we are to 64. We sit at 40 degrees right now in Joplin, and a wind chill is in effect. It only feels like it's 35. These are the actual temperatures, not wind chills, ranging anywhere from 41, now our high point. We got a bunch of 41s out on the board, anywhere from 37 being our low point. So not a wide variety of temperatures by any means. Heavy cloud cover, however. You see sporadic little shots without the clouds, but there's more coming, and so we're not going to get a whole lot of sunshine today, and it's going to be cool. Luckily, what we do avoid is, look at what is hanging out there to our east, just on the other side of the Ozarks. In fact, it stretches all the way to the other side of the Mississippi, our freeze watches. Well, we're going to get our fair share of those here before the end of the week as well. Our weather trend for today, high 40s, overcast skies, and you'll notice the panels filled with rain, because as it originates in central Kansas and begins to roll through for the afternoon and evening hours, it'll take us from Tuesday night all the way into early Wednesday morning before it finally dissipates and rolls off to the south. A 7-day forecast where rain today, not looking at anything severe. Ground should be dry enough to handle it, so no flooding concerns. But then we get ready for our own frost advisories and freeze warnings that will take place for Wednesday night and Thursday night.
Okay. Well, like you said earlier, take your jacket and your umbrella, head to the polls.
I think I'm done with jacket. I think I am on to like official heavy coat.
Some layers. Stay warm.
Toboggans, long underwear.
Turtlenecks.
You know why it's called a mock turtleneck? Because everybody makes fun of you when you wear it. Shout out to all of you wearing mock turtlenecks today. That was a joke. Nobody's going to make fun of you. Ooh! You know what we neglected that you know I'm going to start rocking? Sweater vest.
Oh, yeah. Michael loves his sweater
When
vest.
we hit the freezing point, the old sweater vests, they're coming out now.
Yep. They give you that extra warmth in your core.
Speaking of making fun of people for wearing things, but I'm secure enough. I'm like, give me a sweater vest.
He does. Yes, we know this. All right. So we're looking at
you don't know where to go from here.
Thursday coming into work wearing one, or possibly Friday.
I don't know. Do you want me to bust it out tomorrow?
But we're not getting down to the freezing mark tomorrow.
That's fine. What day do you want me to wear it?
Thursday or Friday.
Okay. I'll go Thursday.
Okay, there we go.
Sweater vest Thursdays it is. Your producer is frantically like giving you the rap signal because he's getting worried about our time. And he's right here. I mean, It's not like he's far away from us.
It's all good.
Yes.
It's all good. We'll make it up later. All right, thanks, Michael. Well, a Webb City man is dead from a motorcycle crash. It happened near the intersection of Euclid and St. Louis Avenues in Joplin just after midnight Sunday. Police say 24-year-old Joseph Chapman was thrown from his motorcycle when he hit a pedestrian island. A car then hit Chapman. He died at the scene. Joplin police released the name of an assault suspect who was shot and killed by police. Police identify the suspect as 41-year-old Carl Junction resident Joseph Endicott. The JPD says he was shot by officers responding to a call from a victim who says they were being attacked by a man with a weapon. Police have not said what led to the shooting. Endicott died. No officers were hurt. The officers involved have been placed on paid administrative leave. Fire officials say 4 people have been injured, 1 critically, in a Monday night Wichita apartment fire. Firefighters were called around 3 a.m. to the Kingston Cove apartments and found flames coming from a complex. Investigators have not yet released the cause of the fire, but say the most severely damaged area of the complex is in a building stairwell. A surgery professor at Ohio State University says the amount of sedative administered to an Oklahoma inmate during his execution is insane. Medical experts say it's unclear why an Oklahoma inmate began convulsing and vomiting after the first of 3 drugs used to execute him was administered. But they all agree the dosage was massive compared with what's standard in surgeries. Jonathan Groner is a surgery professor at Ohio State University's medical school and a lethal injection expert. He calls the 500 milligrams of the sedative metalazone administered to John Grant insane. He says there's no data to measure the impact of a dose that size. The Oklahoma Department of Corrections says the execution was carried out in accordance with the agency's protocols. Arkansas is among other states that use that dose in executions. Oklahoma's Pardon and Parole Board has recommended Governor Kevin Stitt spare the life of death row inmate Julius Jones. The board yesterday voted 3-1 to recommend clemency for Jones and that his sentence be commuted to life in prison with the possibility of parole. The 41-year-old Jones has always maintained his innocence in the 1999 shooting death of Edmond businessman Paul Howell. Jones testified via video link from the state penitentiary in McAllister that he was with his family the night of the killing. Several members of the panel agreed they had doubts about the evidence that led to Jones's conviction. The city of Oronogo, Missouri is asking residents to approve the sale of its natural gas system today. Voters will decide whether to approve the sale of the city's natural gas system to Spire for $620,000. One of the reasons the city wants to sell the utility is maintenance cost. Oronogo's mayor says when it comes to billing, residents should not see any significant changes.
The bills will be very similar in pricing. Where our bills change month to month based on spot prices of natural gas. Spires is regulated by the state, and so they can't change prices as often as we have to based on pricing.
Polls open this morning. We'll have complete election results on the KOAM News. 6:07.
All right, Tanya, our temperatures today only going to be up into the high 40s. It is going to be a chilly election day. On top of that, we also have rain that will present itself for the latter half of the morning, take us through the afternoon and evening hours into early Wednesday. Then we get ready for frost advisories and freeze warnings for Wednesday and Thursday.
All right, that's a look at this morning's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News, scientists look for big ways to save the largest trees on the planet. Plus, a study in JAMA warns about how much time adolescents spend in front of a computer screen. And the stock market enjoys another record day, driven by better than expected corporate earnings. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. More real news in the morning. We'll be right back. In Consumer Watch this morning, new record highs on Wall Street. AMC and Pfizer turn in their quarterly report cards. Biden's legislative agenda still on hold. And beware of cryptocurrency scams. Here are some of the day's top consumer stories.
New record highs for Wall Street's three major indexes on Monday. The Dow gained 94 points, the Nasdaq rose 97, and the S&P 500 added 8. Better than expected corporate earnings have boosted stocks. Today, movie chain AMC and COVID-19 vaccine maker Pfizer turn in their quarterly report cards. President Biden's legislative agenda remains in limbo. West Virginia Senator Joe Manchin says he has concerns about the $1.75 trillion plan that tackles climate change and expands social programs like child and health care. The moderate Democrat doesn't want to add to the nation's debt to pay for the bill. Regulators around the world have warned about cryptocurrency scams. OneCoin, based on the Netflix show Squid Game, is now worthless after its creator cashed out with more than $3 million of investor money. Squid, as it was called, had hit over $2,500 at one point, according to crypto watchers. One obvious sign it was a scam: investors could buy but not sell the Squid coin.
As the temperatures drop, some people are turning on their heaters and finding them broken. The Better Business Bureau has some tips to help with the search for a contractor to fix it. The Bureau recommends researching a company's background and licensing. Also, the BBB advises getting at least 3 cost estimates for any work and consider when you schedule the service.
Also ask too, before you go ahead and you order any kind of service, whether it's a weekday or a weekend call, see if there's a price difference. Sometimes heating and air conditioning contractors, or even people who are doing your furnace and servicing that, they will actually charge extra for a weekend call if you're not specific, and if you're not calling and scheduling a call and it's just an emergency call.
Thought that was standard, extra on the weekends. Another tip: review the warranty on your furnace to see if repairs are still covered. More frustrations for American Airlines travelers. The airline has canceled another 250 flights after several days of cancellation. Since Friday, about 1,900 flights have been canceled as American has dealt with weather issues and staffing shortages. The company says it was being proactive to minimize inconvenience. 3 weeks ago, Southwest Airlines canceled more than 2,000 flights over several days because of weather and air traffic control issues. Holiday shopping is expected to shatter records this year. According to the National Retail Federation, spending is projected to reach as high as $859 billion. That would be a double-digit increase over last year. The average consumer is expected to shell out nearly $1,000 on gifts and other holiday items. Retail Tracker predicts people will spend more than $600 on gifts for family, friends, and coworkers. That's it for Consumer Watch. We'll be right back.
Sitting over 7th and Rangeline as we find ourselves with a chilly November the 2nd, overcast skies as well. It would be nice if we could approach our average daily high. That would be about 64 degrees, but unfortunately we're not going to see that on the 7-day forecast for quite some time. Dry right now, but we're going to pick up some rain. That'll increase our yearly precipitation total that's already 3.3 inches above our historic norms if you date back to January 1. As far as what we're seeing right now in Joplin, 40 degrees with a wind chill in effect. Only feels like it's 35, and that is thanks in part to a little northeasterly breeze. Whole bunch of 41s. That has been our dominant number this morning. 37 in Iola and Monette. Let's go 39 in Pittsburgh, and the magical 41 sitting as well in Miami. As the wind works in from the northeast, luckily it's just 5 to 10 miles per hour, but also too, you can take probably about 5-6 degrees off that temperature, and that's what you're going to get as far as what it feels like when you walk out the door, dropping as low as 32 in Neosho, Cassville, and Mount Vernon. It's a clean Skywatch storm tracker, at least precipitation-wise. Cloud cover, yeah, that's certainly there, and it's not going to go anywhere as we've got additional building out to the west, and then this is what we'll keep our eyes on here throughout the later morning and early afternoon hours as the rain already beginning to develop. Slow mover, not looking at anything severe, but eventually creeping our way. What the jet stream is doing, grabbing that cold Canadian air right there, dropping it right through the 4 states, and what that has resulted in as well, not for us yet. It'll happen here by the time we get to Wednesday and Thursday. These are frost advisories turning into freeze warnings on the other side of the Mississippi, and you'll notice they last just about from Springfield, just miss our far eastern counties of southwest Missouri, but stretch from Springfield all the way to the Atlantic coast. As far as our afternoon goes, with the cloudy skies and not a whole lot of sunshine, we're going to be mired there in the high 40s. Didn't even scrape out hardly a 50 yesterday. As far as our rain goes, here we go. I'll get out of the way because it's going to develop in the central portion of Kansas. And as it works our way, well, number one, you're going to see that line that works from the northwest down to the southeast. But then as we get into the afternoon and evening hours, we'll also get northward expansion. Here's a nice thing. We don't see any yellow popping up down there. They can keep the heavy rain down to the south. And luckily, because of our temperatures, we don't see anything turning over into white or blue. Yeah, you think about that. So as it rolls through, we eventually clear off here early Wednesday morning. Still going to be overcast. Nice thing is it keeps us from getting too cold for the time being. That, however, is going to be subject to change because a whole lot of this cold air is going to continue to filter through after the storm system. There's a little rain-snow mix you see right there along the Missouri-Arkansas state line. That'll develop out to the east of us. That'll be mainly for the elevated area of the Ozarks, so we don't have to worry about anything flipping over. But it is a 7-day forecast, though, that Wednesday night into Thursday morning and then Thursday night into Friday. I think we'll, number one, go frost advisories to begin with, and then for Thursday into Friday, that's when we will pump out our freeze warnings. After that, at least we get a little sunshine, and there we are. We're actually seasonable as we head into the weekend. Don't forget to set those clocks back come Sunday. America's giant sequoia trees, largest trees on the planet, being threatened by droughts and wildfires, and now researchers are working to ensure the tree's future before it's too late. Anthony Pura joined scientists on an environmental restoration project years in the making.
On California's Sierra Nevada mountains, scientists are on a mission to restore the area's past for the future. Unrecognizable in their small size, these tiny trees are young giant sequoias. Jim Clark is with Archangel Ancient Tree Archive, a group working to preserve the ancient trees.
When you have dry mountainsides with dry, dead standing timber, it's a tragedy waiting to happen.
They are planting 150 saplings on privately owned land in the mountain community of Sequoia Crest. A wildfire ripped through the region last year, scorching the landscape and killing many large sequoias.
The one thing that we all agree on is that this area needs help to regenerate.
But lost with each tree are future cones and seeds.
That's why we're here, is to help assist the trees that can no longer do what they have naturally done.
These 2-foot-tall trees were cloned from a 225-foot-tall sequoia called the waterfall tree. Researchers collected clippings from that tree 7 years ago before it was lost in a wildfire last year. The Archangel team nurtured the cloned saplings in a Michigan lab until they were ready to be planted in the California mountains. Scientists say the trees will have an undeniable environmental benefit.
They sequester carbon dioxide, and the bigger the tree, the more carbon is sequestered.
Saying it's important sequoias continue to survive and thrive.
That's why we're planting them, for your grandchildren and your grandchildren's grandchildren.
We're hoping that in years to come, there will be a legacy left for future generations.
A legacy that will strengthen and grow with time. Anthony Pura, CBS News, Sequoia Crest, California.
Certainly, if you ever have the opportunity you're in the west coast of California, make sure you visit any Sequoia National Park because it's absolutely one of Mother Nature's finest. Researchers are logging the trees they planted on a GPS coordinate so they can be monitored over a specific amount of time. We'll be back with Healthwatch right after this.
Tapping Healthwatch this morning, a possible treatment for cold and flu symptoms. Plus a look at how much time U.S. teens and tweens are spending on their devices. Elise Preston has a look at some of the day's top health stories.
Screen time among American adolescents skyrocketed during the pandemic. A study in JAMA Pediatrics found the average daily total doubled from under 4 hours before the pandemic to nearly 8 hours during the pandemic. The study did not include school-related screen time. The CDC estimates about half of adult COVID survivors were unvaccinated as of August. The agency recommends even previously infected people get the shots, citing a modest but significant increase in protection against infection. And taking a zinc supplement might help curb symptoms of respiratory tract infections, such as coughing and congestion. Researchers in Australia say studies showed symptoms also seem to clear up sooner with the use of certain zinc supplements compared to placebo. Those are some of the day's top health stories. Elise Preston, CBS News, New York.
That's a look at some of today's top health stories. You're watching the KOAM Morning News.
As we find ourselves mired in the low 40s right now, and remember, wind chills ranging as low as 32 on this Tuesday morning with heavy cloud cover. We're not going to have much of a warm-up. As a matter of fact, on this election day, probably about high 40s as good as we're going to see. And when you do take off to vote, take your umbrella. Because here we go. Everything generates in the central portion of Kansas, and as it rolls through, not only works from northwest to southeast, but also has northward expansion. So you're going to have to be pretty much in the far northern region or the far northeastern region of the 4 states to avoid any of the rain. Luckily, not looking at anything severe, and it's not going to be heavy, but it's going to be a cold, cold rain because, tell you what, our temperatures, so where's that 64, this average for this time of year? Yeah, doesn't pop up until the weekend. Luckily, we get some sunshine here to end the work week. We'll be back right after this.
Coming up, a Wichita apartment fire leaves 4 injured, including 1 in critical condition. And some medical experts criticize Oklahoma's execution protocol. Also, the city of Oronogo votes today on whether it will sell its natural gas system.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's 6:30. I'm Tanya Bach. We'll get to those stories in just a moment, but first let's go to Michael Hayslip and the Skywatch weather.
An election Tuesday that is going to have a definite chill in the air, Tanya. Current conditions over 7th and Rangeline put us at 40 degrees. Wind chill only 35. My goodness. Now these are your actual temperatures, ranging anywhere from 37 up to 41. We've yet to see a 42 on the board this morning, and our average low for this time of year is 42. We've yet to even have anybody get there. Here's a Skywatch storm tracker. We'll take off the sweeping radar. Make sure that we are on the dry side there. A little raindrop or two come down the far western edge of southeast Kansas. We'll pay attention to what develops out here in the central portion of the Sunflower State with the heavy cloud cover throughout. But now that it begins to develop, it will slowly track our way. It's in no hurry to get here and really shouldn't have any much widespread precipitation until we get to late this morning. In fact, if not this afternoon. The Skywatch storm tracker from the national perspective shows how the jet stream grabs that cold Canadian air. You can see the defining line there as far as where the cold front rolls through. And yeah, we're just on the southern edge of it. So it definitely could be worse because they've actually got frost advisories and freeze warnings out to our east. Doesn't affect any of our counties though. It will eventually. Weather trend for today, high 40s as good as it gets. And here comes the rain as it begins to build out from the west. Going to take us all the way from Tuesday night into Wednesday morning. Pretty widespread right there. You're going to have to be far north, far east not to run into any rain. And then overnight lows dropping close to, if not at the freezing mark for Wednesday and Thursday.
Chances are gone for after Wednesday, so.
Well, luckily we get rid of those rain chances before those temperatures flip that low. Mm-hmm. That'd be a different story in and of to itself.
A very slick story for them. All right, thanks, Michael. A Webb City man is dead from a motorcycle crash. It happened near the intersection of Euclid and St. Louis Avenues in Joplin just after midnight Sunday. Police say 24-year-old Joseph Chapman was thrown from his motorcycle when he hit a pedestrian island. A car then hit Chapman. He died at the scene. Fire officials say 4 people are injured, 1 critically, in an overnight Wichita apartment fire. Firefighters were called around 3 a.m. yesterday to the Kingston Cove apartments and found flames coming from a complex. Investigators have not yet released the cause of the fire, but say the most severely damaged area of the complex is in a building stairwell. A surgery professor at Ohio State University says the amount of sedative administered to an Oklahoma inmate during his execution is insane. Medical experts say it's unclear why an Oklahoma inmate began convulsing and vomiting after the first of 3 drugs used to execute him was administered, but they all agree the dosage was massive compared with what's standard in surgeries. Jonathan Groner is a surgery professor at Ohio State University's medical school and a lethal injection expert. He calls the 500 milligrams of the sedative midazolam administered to John Grant insane. He says there's no data to measure the impact of a dose that size. The Oklahoma Department of Corrections says the execution was carried out in accordance with the agency's protocols. Arkansas is among other states that use that dose of midazolam in executions. 2 weeks after a newspaper discovered a security flaw on a Missouri state website, Governor Mike Parson's administration has hired a company that performs data breach and credit monitoring services. The state signed a contract with Identity Theft Guard Solutions. The pricing sheet shows it would cost taxpayers about $4.5 million to notify the teachers of the potential breach and provide them with credit monitoring. The St. Louis Post-Dispatch discovered the flaw that potentially exposed the Social Security numbers of an estimated 100,000 Missouri teachers. Governor Parson ordered the Missouri State Highway Patrol to investigate the journalists who uncovered the flaw. City of Oronogo is asking voters to approve the sale of its natural gas system. KOAM's Chris Warner has more on why the city wants to sell and what it could mean for residents if approved.
Mayor Charles Wilkins says there's a number of reasons the city wants to sell the utility to Spire, such as continued maintenance costs.
With the increased regulations, increased training, Spire is a large corporation. They're in most of the communities surrounding us, and with their expertise and ability, it will cut down the workload on our public works officials.
Mayor Wilkins says they were approached by 2 utility companies in 2019, and the council decided to go with Spire's offer to buy the system. As for billing, Mayor Wilkins says residents shouldn't see a significant difference.
The bills will be very similar in pricing, where our bills change month to month based on spot prices of natural gas. Spire's is regulated by the state, and so they can't change prices as often as we have to based on pricing.
Officials with Spire agree with Mayor Wilkins on billing, saying the biggest change residents will notice is the bill itself will look different. As for other changes, Spire's Director of Business Development, Brenda Linderer, says they're not planning anything big right now.
We are anticipating maybe sometime down the road upgrading their metering equipment into a more automated meter reading device, but currently no specific plans to make any changes to the system.
If voters approve the sale on Tuesday, it won't be an overnight change. Spire then has to go to Missouri's Public Service Commission to get approval to add Oronogo to its service area.
That can take a while. We're not quite sure. It could be anywhere probably from 6 to 8 months before the process is totally finalized as far as getting approval from the PSC.
If approved, Spire would pay the city $620,000 for the system. Mayor Wilkins says they're not spending that money yet, but are looking at things it could pay for, like improvements to City Hall and other projects in the city.
We're also wanting to do some things with parks to help improve our parks, to give our residents more places for recreation.
In Oronogo, Chris Warner, KOAM News.
Of course, a number of our area counties and municipalities have issues on today's ballot. You can find a breakdown of those issues on our website at KOAMnewsnow.com. That's a look at our top news stories coming up this half hour in the KOAM Morning News.
It's Election Day. I'm Laura Podesta with a wrap of the races you should be watching and how they could foreshadow what's to come in the midterms in 2022.
Plus, do you feel that politicians get proper punishments for crimes they commit? We let you weigh in. But first, it's 6:37.
Chilly start as our temperatures right now anywhere between, say 37 and 41 degrees on this Tuesday morning. And with our overcast skies, the sunshine's really not going to have much of a bearing. And with the clouds also to come late morning into afternoon, evening, and nighttime rain. The precipitation actually going to carry us all the way into Wednesday morning, and no warm up in sight until we get to the weekend. We'll be back with Nation Watch next.
Happy Nation Watch this morning. Today is your day to make your voice heard in American politics. It's Election Day. Eyes are on key races in Virginia, Minnesota, New York, and New Jersey. Laura Podesta breaks it down.
It comes around once a year, our civic duty to vote, and that day is today. In Virginia, the race for governor had the largest early voting turnout in the state's history. Former Democratic Governor Terry McAuliffe,
let's win in person. We've already won the early vote, 1.2 million.
Is up against Republican Glenn Youngkin. It's a potential bellwether for how midterm elections will swing next year.
This is our moment where we stand up for our children, for our grandchildren, for our nieces, for our nephews.
In New Jersey, Republican Jack Ciattarelli is challenging incumbent Democrat Phil Murphy. It's another test to see if New Jersey voters will continue to vote blue like they did for Biden, or if the president's dwindling approval numbers will pull voters over to the GOP.
Several big cities will be choosing a mayor today, from Boston to Atlanta to here in New York City.
Democrat Eric Adams, the borough president of Brooklyn and a retired police officer, is expected to handily beat activist and radio talk show host Curtis Sliwa. Adams would become the Big Apple's second ever black mayor. And in Minneapolis, Minnesota, the city where George Floyd was murdered by a police officer in May 2020, voters will choose whether to disband the city's police department.
I feel like clearly the system in place isn't working, and if it isn't working, we need to change it.
The police department would be replaced by a Department of Public Safety that employs a comprehensive public health approach to law enforcement. Laura Podesta, CBS News.
Another interesting race to watch, the mayoral race in Buffalo, New York, where India Walton could become the first socialist to lead a major American city in decades. Convicted killer Robert Durst was indicted Monday on a separate murder charge in connection with his late wife's death. Kathleen McCormick Durst was last seen in 1982. Her body has not been found. She was declared legally dead in 2017. In September, a Los Angeles jury found Durst guilty of first-degree murder in the death of his friend, Susan Berman. He was sentenced to life in prison without parole. Berman's murder came just hours before she was set to talk to investigators about the mysterious disappearance of Durst's wife. Durst, the subject of The Jinx, an HBO docuseries, was diagnosed with COVID-19 last month. His former attorney said he is on death's door. Durst is currently in custody in California, where he stood trial for Berman's murder. That's a look at today's top national stories. Let's check back in with Michael for our Something to Talk About.
Thank you, Tanya. This morning on the KOM News Now Facebook page and our Insta poll, politicians and punishment. Over the weekend, authorities arrested Kansas State Representative Aaron Coleman on a domestic battery charge. Now, according to his attorney, Coleman plans to plead not guilty. 3 of Coleman's family members appeared at the hearing. All of them said they would feel unsafe having contact with him. Coleman, no stranger to controversy, has faced disciplinary action in the past over threatening online posts and posting revenge porn. At least one of Coleman's colleagues has called for his resignation. Our specific question to you this morning: do politicians receive adequate punishments for their crimes? And right now, 95% of you say no. No, they do not. 2 ways to connect each and every morning. Number 1, via our Facebook page, KOAM News Now, or you can go directly to the poll, koamnewsnow.com/vote. We'll be back to celebrate birthdays and anniversaries next.
We take this time to honor today's 4th state hero, Sergeant First Class Randy Bolus, a member of the United States Army from 2005 to 2006. He served during the Iraq War. His hometown, Roseland, Kansas. We thank you for your service, Randy Bull, our 4th state hero.
The list started as he celebrates his 5th birthday. Looks like he's already hard at work. And you know what, Connor? I'm glad that you are OSHA approved, my friend. I have a couple of my friends that can learn some safety features from you. Happy 5th to you, buddy.
That's a cool costume. I like that. Let's see, in Erie, Kansas, Caleb Yarnell.
Yeah!
Celebrating birthday number 9 this year.
You know, I love it. I love it when we see the people catch a fish. You know, I'm like, great cat. I like that one, Caleb. Maybe you start a new trend right there. Everybody who's got a glove, I want to see what kind of glove you sport. I like that. We'll break it down.
There you go.
I'll start tally over here. Who's rocking a Louisville Slugger, who's got the Mizuno, and we'll keep track. And not only that, we'll do it position-wise as well. Thank you, Caleb. You sparked a new one right there, my man. That's awesome. Lucas Kamek, he is celebrating his 12th birthday. A little Gerard Trojan pride right there. Have a great day, Lucas.
And a belated birthday wish going out to Shell Johnson. Or maybe it's Shale. Shale is 15 years old in Galena.
Matthew Meyer with a 23rd birthday. What a great picture right there. That is tremendous. Happy birthday, Mr. Matthew. He is in Sarcoxy, and Matthew, I want you to know that these birthday wishes come with love from the family.
All right, and we've got Lindsay Bond turning 41 years old this year. That's a sweet photo there. Lindsay is in Riverton.
Hey, check this out. Sarah sent it in. I don't think Tom did it on his own. I bet you Sarah was behind that. Anyway, folks, this is a wonderful dude right here. He is the Pittsburgh Deputy Fire Chief, and he goes by the name of Tom Vaca. If you ever see Tom out in his Looney Tunes costume, he's probably on duty. Like, that's the way Tom dresses. That's just him. No, man, a long time no see. Absolutely love that dude. And Tom, I'm supposed to tell you that on your 46th birthday, these happy birthday wishes come from your slightly loony family.
I love it.
I know a lot of that loony family. They're great people. I love that family.
All right, Robert Reno celebrating birthday number 53 this year. Robert is in Mulberry, Kansas.
In Franklin, Kelly McClintock. A happy 55th birthday to you, and very happy, Kelly, that you got to celebrate a Chiefs win coming off of your birthday, and also, too, these birthday wishes from your loving wife, Sandra.
All right. And we've got Lori Houston celebrating. Oh, that's cool. They look very nice there. Lori Houston is 56 in Fort Scott.
Marie Bryant has an 89th birthday in Chanute. Miss Marie, a very happy birthday to you, ma'am.
In Pittsburgh, Miss Amy Young is celebrating a birthday. Getting the kisses on the cheek, too, I see.
We got a couple of anniversaries. We'll start with Nate and Kate Thomas as they celebrate their second anniversary. What a marvelous picture right there. Congratulations to the Thomases in Columbus.
All right, and Levi and Tara McGowan are celebrating their 19th anniversary. They are in Humboldt, Kansas.
Who that is? What is up with the shirt and tie? We turn him loose, he goes corporate on us, and now his birthday picture is a shirt and a tie. Folks, if you're not familiar, that is our Director of Engineering, one William Vickery. And I'm going to espouse for a second because I have had the privilege of knowing this gentleman for the past 2 decades. And he is not only our Director of Engineering, but to this day, there is not one thing at this station that person cannot do. Absolutely love him to death. Bill, I hope you know how much we love you. If not, I will say it on air, my friend. We do love you. I will see you on Wednesday, and a very happy birthday to you.
All right. Happy birthday, Bill. We love you. Flo Reno turning 75 years old. Flo is in Pickaway, Kansas. Jan Campbell celebrating birthday number 79 in Girard. And Randy Robeson.
This one's mine.
Oh, you take it then.
Right.
I'm stopping.
No, that's okay. Randy, I will find out why there's no picture. I know people. I know people. Happy birthday, Randy. Great dude right there. Steve and Janet Bacon, they are celebrating their 47th anniversary. Congratulations to the Bacons. Please have a wonderful, wonderful anniversary week in Pittsburgh. A happy anniversary and happy birthday to all. Here's where you can send them to. Birthdays at KOAMTV.com. Also, you can go online, KOAMNewsNow.com. Now here's Tanya Bach with a very important birthday announcement.
All right, you can be a part of the KOAM Birthday Club by going to our website and signing up. And once you do, you'll get special deals from local businesses. Go to KOAMnewsnow.com and sign up for the KOAM Birthday Club today. Here's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door. A Webb City man is dead from a motorcycle crash. It happened near the intersection of Euclid and St. Louis Avenues in Joplin just after midnight Sunday. Police say 24-year-old Joseph Chapman was thrown from his motorcycle when he hit a pedestrian island. A car then hit Chapman. He died at the scene. Joplin police released the name of an assault suspect who was shot and killed by police. Police identify the suspect as 41-year-old Carl Junction resident Joseph Endicott. The JPD says he was shot by officers responding to a call from a victim who says they were being attacked by a man with a weapon. Police have not said what led to the shooting. Endicott died. No officers were hurt. The officers involved have been placed on administrative leave. It's November 2nd, so goodbye Halloween decorations, hello wreaths, and mistletoe. All right, that might be a bit extreme, but the holiday season is getting underway for Freeman Hospital. The hospital yesterday announced the theme of the downtown Christmas parade. Parade goers and participants will be cruising to Christmas this year. Freeman officials say they're excited about the floats they'll see based on this year's theme. And the Salvation Army's Red Kettle campaign is underway. Bell ringers are a ubiquitous sign of the holidays as they station outside stores, raising money for the work the Army does throughout the year. And that's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door.
I'll tell you what your theme's going to be this week. Weather-wise, it's going to be cold. Quite frankly, anywhere from 36 to 41 on our Tuesday morning, overcast skies. So no sunshine to warm us up as we'll be stuck in the high 40s. And on top of that, how about some cold rain coming in as well? Works in from the west, and then as we get into the nighttime hours, we see it spread to the north of the 4 states, lasting us all the way into Wednesday morning. Now, we're not looking at anything severe. No thunder, no lightning, no flooding, nothing like that. Just going to be one of those where you're going to want to bundle up here all the way until we get to the weekend.
All right, well, coming up today at noon, we're making really good rice pudding in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen.
You hold on, go back on prompter. Because it makes it, you need to say that it actually is called
really good rice pudding in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen.
Because it almost sounded like you were just like, it's going to be really good.
No, it's really good.
It's called really good rice pudding.
Really good.
And you know what we tell Howard? God bless, we love Howard. But you know what we tell him? We'll be the judge of that. Your morning news continues on KOAM, CBS Morning News. That's coming up next.
Or you could switch on over with us on Fox 14, where your only local morning news continues. This morning, we're taking a sneak peek at Marvel's Eternals.
Plus, The Doors release a super special edition of an old concert.
Interesting.
I'm looking forward to that story now.
Yeah.
Too cool. All right, I like that. All right, so stick with us. Flip on over, and of course, we'll have your latest as we begin, hopefully, a slow warm-up today. It'd be nice to, if we can just get out of the 30s for the most part right now. Do me a favor, get some fresh air, be safe. We'll do this all again tomorrow morning.
And we're going to do it again today at noon.
Winter is